Why do some people seem to sabotage their own happiness, make unhealthy choices, or remain trapped in cycles of stress and illness, even when they desperately want things to change? Maybe you've noticed it in yourself, a pattern you can't quite break, a heaviness you can't explain, or a tendency to make choices that, deep down, you know will lead to regret. What if the root of these mysteries wasn't just willpower or bad habits, but a silent biological process triggered long ago? Science now shows us that trauma doesn't just leave scars on the mind, it rewires the body, setting off a cascade of hidden changes that can shape the course of a life. Most people imagine trauma as something that happens to others, soldiers, victims, survivors. But trauma in its many forms is woven into the fabric of everyday life. The loss of a loved one, betrayal, childhood neglect, relentless pressure at work, or the slow erosion of hope. These experiences, big or small, can leave invisible wounds that the body, not just the mind, remembers. It's in the pounding heart at the memory of an old argument, the sleepless nights you can't justify, the persistent fatigue that no amount of rest can fix. If you've ever wondered why you feel stuck, why your body seems to work against you, or why certain emotions feel impossible to escape, the answer may lie deep within your biology, a silent hijacking, orchestrated by the legacy of stress and trauma. To understand how trauma sets this process in motion, imagine the brain as a vigilant guardian, constantly scanning for danger. When a traumatic event occurs, whether it's a sudden shock or a chronic, grinding stress, your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, is activated. This tiny cluster of neurons, buried deep within the limbic system, is designed to keep you alive. It floods your body with signals to release stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, priming you for fight or flight. For our ancient ancestors, this surge meant the difference between escaping a predator and becoming its meal. But in modern life, threats are rarely physical. Instead, they are emotional, psychological, or social: an unfair boss, the sting of rejection, the weight of responsibility. The brain, however, makes little distinction. Chronic stress, even without immediate danger, keeps the amygdala on high alert. The body remains tense, the heart pounds, and cortisol continues to circulate. Over time, this unrelenting state of readiness comes at a cost. The immune system falters, inflammation rises, and the delicate balance of hormones is thrown into chaos. Scientific studies now reveal that people who've experienced trauma, especially in childhood, show measurable changes in their stress response systems. Their hypothalamic pituitary adrenal (HPA) axis, the master regulator of stress hormones, can become dysregulated, stuck in a feedback loop that turns every minor worry into a physical emergency. These individuals are at higher risk for heart disease, autoimmune disorders, digestive problems, even accelerated aging. And yet, the most insidious part is that many don't recognize the connection. They simply feel tired, anxious, or unwell, blaming themselves for weakness instead of understanding the biology at play. This is where the true danger of trauma lies, not just in the pain of the original event, but in the way it can silently program the body to self-destruct. When stress hormones remain elevated for months or years, they gradually erode the very systems meant to protect you. Immune cells become overactive, attacking healthy tissues and making you vulnerable to infections and chronic diseases. The hippocampus, a brain region essential for memory and emotional regulation, can actually shrink under prolonged cortisol exposure, leaving you forgetful, easily overwhelmed, or emotionally numb. Perhaps most striking is how trauma can drive people toward patterns of behavior that only deepen their wounds. This phenomenon, sometimes called silent sabotage, is not simply a matter of poor choices or a lack of willpower. It's the result of a brain caught in survival mode, seeking relief or distraction at any cost. Some may turn to alcohol or drugs, not out of recklessness, but because numbing the pain feels like the only option. Others may sabotage relationships, withdraw from friends, or abandon ambitions, haunted by a sense of danger or unworthiness they can't quite name. Even the neurotransmitters that shape our emotions and desires are drawn into this web. Dopamine, the brain's reward chemical, can become dysregulated, making once pleasurable activities feel empty or unattainable. Serotonin, critical for mood stability, may plummet, opening the door to depression and anxiety. These changes aren't merely in your head, they are written into your biology, the body's attempt to adapt to a world that feels unpredictable or unsafe. Recent research has shown that the legacy of trauma can even be passed down across generations, a process called epigenetic inheritance. The stresses your grandparents endured may subtly shape your own body's responses, priming you to react to danger before it even appears. In this way, trauma becomes a kind of invisible script, quietly influencing health, relationships, and even the choices people make about their own futures. Yet even within this web of silent sabotage, the story is not one of inevitable decline. The human brain and body possess an astonishing ability to adapt, heal, and rewrite their own fate given the right conditions. This capacity for change is known as neuroplasticity, and it means that the circuits shaped by trauma are not fixed. With time, care, and intervention, they can be rewired toward resilience and recovery. Therapeutic approaches like trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness practices, and somatic experiencing have shown remarkable results in helping people reclaim a sense of safety and agency over their lives. These methods work by gently retraining the brain's alarm system, lowering the intensity of the stress response, and helping individuals process memories that once triggered overwhelming fear or shame. Even small changes, regular exercise, supportive relationships, creative expression can begin to tip the balance, nudging the nervous system out of survival mode and into a state where healing is possible. Stories of recovery are as diverse as those who have experienced trauma. Some find hope in reconnecting with community, others in rediscovering forgotten passions, or simply in learning to treat themselves with patience and compassion. The process is rarely easy or linear. Relapses and setbacks are common, yet each step forward sends a new signal to the brain. The danger has passed. It's safe to live fully again. On a broader scale, acknowledging the biological roots of trauma invites us to rethink the judgments we make of ourselves and others. Instead of seeing chronic illness, addiction, or emotional withdrawal as personal failings, we can recognize them as natural responses to a body overwhelmed by stress. This shift in perspective is not just healing for individuals, but for families and communities as well, breaking cycles of blame and opening the door to empathy and support. In the end, understanding how trauma hijacks the body is more than just a scientific revelation. It's a call to greater self-awareness and compassion. When we see our struggles through the lens of biology, we begin to let go of the shame that so often accompanies suffering. Instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" we start to ask, "What happened to me, and how is my body trying to protect me?" This subtle change in perspective can be the first step toward breaking free from the cycle of self-destruction that trauma so often sets in motion. The science is clear. Trauma can leave deep marks, shaping health, behavior, and even the lives of future generations. But it also reveals a profound truth. Our biology, though shaped by pain, is not our destiny. The systems that once conspired in silence to keep us safe can, with time and intention, become the foundation for growth and renewal. Each act of kindness, each moment of mindfulness, each connection forged in trust is a signal to the brain and body that healing is possible. So, as you move through the world, consider this. How many of your own habits, fears, or unexplained aches are echoes of old wounds? How much of your story has been silently written by experiences your conscious mind has tried to forget? And if trauma can hijack biology in ways both subtle and dramatic, what might become possible when you choose, moment by moment, to reclaim your own narrative? The science of self-destruction, it turns out, is also the science of resilience, an ongoing process of recognizing, understanding, and gently rewriting the story your body has been telling all along.